Hey everyone, Gruhamed here for Loudwire, and I'm going to be asking Mr. Rob Zombie some questions about horror that I feel are essential. So, let's get started. Maybe some of the lesser asked questions.
Maybe.
So, let's see what you say. In your opinion, what's the greatest film of all time, horror film, with the word dead in the title?
Um, I'm a really big fan of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
I really, for some reason, I saw that movie at just the right time. I was in high school. The movie had already been out maybe a year or so it wasn't, but it was never playing anywhere I could see it. And it was at a midnight screening, like for one night, and I went to see it, and it was just blew me away. The crowd was so rowdy, and it was like a shitty theater and a bad place, and it just stuck with me forever. So maybe that's it.
Cool. The original Dawn of the Dead. Uh, what is one film that you would love to remake but wouldn't dare touch?
I would touch anything. I don't care. It goes back to the same way I feel about anything. Um, I mean, well, I guess it's not really that way. There's certain films that if someone said, "Do you want to remake Jaws?" I'd go like, "No." Why? Because I think like Robert. I love Robert Shaw. He's one of my favorite actors, and no one's going to do Quint better than Robert Shaw. It doesn't matter who you get. Certain things are just so iconic that, you know, you wouldn't want to do it. People would say, "Well, why did you do Halloween?" That's iconic, which it is, but that's why I wanted to make it different. And also, I thought, well, I love John Carpenter. I've known John for a long time, and I love the movie Halloween. But to me, I always thought the sequels were kind of shitty. So I was like, they already shit all over it. So if I come in and do something different, it's not like if there had never been another Halloween movie, maybe I wouldn't have done it. At first I turned it down anyway. So for that reason, I didn't see the point.
All right. What is the greatest found footage film you've seen?
Um, mm, I tend to stay away from those movies because they drive me crazy. Because I feel like it's not there is nothing in a found footage movie that I like about movies. Because I feel like found footage movies, for the most part, they're cheap, shitty movies, so the studios can cash in on horror movie fans' fanaticism. I like movies with brilliant cinematography and great actors and things, none of which are usually found in found footage movies. Although, there was an aspect of Cloverfield I thought was pretty cool. I guess that's kind of like that. They shot it in that sort of way, but as far as, probably, well, Cannibal Holocaust is not really a found footage movie, but it has that aspect to it that they kind of ripped off for Blair Witch. So,
Yeah.
I'll skew the question and say Cannibal Holocaust.
All right. Nice. What is the greatest horror movie weapon of all time?
Weapon. Well, I think really a chainsaw, because
Yeah.
think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Who would even think? What did the chainsaw mean? It was just a tool at the hardware store that nobody cared about. And then Toby took it and made something phenomenal with it and changed the complete meaning of this product that had been ever there forever. So I think that's probably the best one.
Beautiful. And you can't go wrong with the chainsaw on Bruce Campbell's wrist either. What is a lot of people like to say? What's the greatest villain? To you, what's the greatest hero?
Hero. Hmm. I never really give a shit about the heroes. They're always boring, truthfully. Um, that's why I tend to not put any heroes in my movies. It's just the least shitty person is the hero, I guess. Um, you mean hero in a horror movie,
Yeah.
or just? I don't know. I never think of it that way.
That can be the answer. Is that none? Just least shitty person.
I'm sure there's an answer I'll think of once you leave, but I don't have anything off the top of my head. No.
All right. What, in your opinion, is the greatest horror film of the 2010s? Not you can't put one of your own movies in there.
2010s. Good question. I don't know. I can't think of anything I saw. I'm sure there's something in later. I'll go, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. But
That's cool.
like for most horror movies that come out, I don't go see them. I just don't give a shit because I know it's not made for me. I'm gonna go and it's gonna be a bunch of teens in peril, and I'm gonna want to kill myself for sitting in the theater. So I just avoid all that.
What do you think is the greatest one-liner in horror movie history?
Anything from Todd Browning's Dracula. It's like every line is iconic. They're so iconic. Imagine the first time someone heard, listen to them, Children of the Night or something. It's everything's become such a cliche because it's so iconic. But every once in a while, I'm sure everyone does it. You have that experience where you've seen a movie a million times. You've seen it since you're a little kid, and you have that weird moment of clarity where it's almost like you're watching it for the first time. and you just go, fuck, this movie's so amazing. Like I remember one night I was watching Frankenstein, obviously the original one, and for some reason I don't know if I was watching it on a bigger screen or I was just very focused, but it just hit me. God, this movie must have fucking freaked people out in 1931 because it's kind of brutal, and just the sound of Fritz screaming when the monster's killing him. I'm like, this is kind of, people must have not been happy in the theater because they weren't prepared for it. Now, everybody knows, oh, it's fake, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. But back then, movies were so new. I mean, what did people think the first time they saw like Nosferatu or something? They're like, is this real? Like, what? You know what I mean? Is that a real guy?
Well, the people on the set thought that Max Schreck may have actually been a vampire.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a brilliant movie. I love it.
One of my favorites.
Herzog's remake just as much.
Yeah. Japan, Italy, or Germany? Which is the most rich country in horror movie history?
Well, I mean, it was definitely Italy for a long time. I mean, there was the heyday in Italy with all those guys, like whatever, I was just there and I was talking to all those guys about that. Who was I talking to? Why am I spacing on his name? I mean, there's all those guys like Argento and stuff, but I'm trying to think of somebody else. I can't think of his name. I think Italy had that heyday. I don't know when it ended, sometime in the mid-'80s maybe, but that was the place. And then Japan really had a kick for a while. And Germany, I don't know.
Germany's more of the earlier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Germany obviously in the early days of silent movies set the tone for everything. I mean, the early expressionism films like Caligari or Nosferatu are just incredible. So, I mean, every country's had their moment.
Greatest thing to ever happen to horror, period.
The greatest thing to happen. I can tell you all the awful things to happen, but would be found footage movies. I would think the greatest thing that ever happened to horror movies was James Whale or Todd Browning. Because if you go back and look at those films, I mean, they're still phenomenal. No, the greatest thing that ever happened to horror movies, I take that back, even though this goes along with, is Lon Chaney. Horror movies would probably not even exist without Lon Chaney.
Senior?
Well, of course. Yeah, I mean, and, just would you have Jack Pierce? Would you have Rick Baker? Would you have any of these people if Lon Chaney hadn't existed? I don't know. I mean, think of those. You look at those makeups now of Quasimodo or the Phantom or, this Dead Legs from West of Zanzibar or anything. It's just phenomenal the stuff he did. And The Unknown. I got to see The Unknown. At this not actually many years ago. I rented out this theater in LA that used to be there called the Silent Movie Theater. And we screened The Unknown, and to watch those movies on a big screen, and this is the best thing we did. It was just me and my wife. We rented the theater. It was for her birthday, and we had this old guy. He was like in his 90s, playing accompaniment to The Unknown, and we were talking to him afterwards. He was like 95 years old. He goes, "I played accompaniment to it when it premiered." He was 13 years old, and he was still playing.
So cool.
Like, it's like unbelievable. And I said, "Well, do you have a score that you play?" He goes, "No, I improvise a different score for every showing." And we screened The Unknown, and we screened what's this Douglas Fairbanks movie, The Mystery of the Leaping Fish, where he plays this detective called Coke Any Day, and he's always doing huge piles of coke. It's the most fucking crazy silent movie. It's like a short film. You gotta check it out. Mystery of the Leaping Fish. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
I'm gonna watch that.
And yeah, he's always coked up. Like, Coke Any Day is his name. And it's just insane. I guess before people thought doing tons and tons of blow was a bad idea.
All right. Thank you so much, Rob. I truly appreciate it.
Talk to you.
New album coming soon. New movie 31. Be sure to check it out. Lots of stuff, I'm sure, coming very, very soon.